Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my YouTube channel, PointLeader75. This time I'm going to show you guys a little bit about my computer specs and performance. Just a little quick view, or so that you guys can see that this is the real deal. Here you can see the properties for my computer, where you can see my Windows Experience Index, which is 7.9, which is pretty much top all the way. Calculating per second memory operations per second, desktop performance for Windows Aero, and so on. It's been pretty much top notch. And then you can see the CPU is a i7-5960X, running slightly overclocked at 20% faster, and 32 gigabytes total in RAM. For some reason it's not utilizing all of it. It usually does. Must have done something crazy in the BIOS. I'll have to look it up later. Moving on to the task manager, so you guys can see that all threads, both logical and virtual threads, are working just fine, as well as the memory. It's been shown here as 32 gigabyte of RAM memories, DDR4s of course. I am using the motherboard from Asus. It's Asus X99 Deluxe, and I'll bring up the Asus suit, or AI suit I mean, so that you guys can see that everything is working just fine. Here you can see the temperature, 38 degrees Celsius, which is fairly cool. I mean, I'm running a WaterCooler, closed WaterCooler CPU cooler. It's never getting any hotter than maybe 60 degrees with its overclock. You can also see here that it is overclocked with 20%. The GPU, however, is a stock cooler on all three GPUs, so I'm not overclocking that heavily on them. I have done that before, and I decided to go slightly some clicks below that. So I'm going to go to the device manager. You guys can see that everything is working just fine. And let's just take a look at the display adapters. All three Titan X cards are there. And of course we can take a look at the processor here. Everything looks fine. We should have 16 cores. Half of them are logical and the rest of them are virtual, but all cores are there. And then of course we can take a look at the nVidia control panel, where we can see that I have everything set up correctly, which I have, which is SLI. It's 3-way SLI Titan X, 16 gigabyte of DDR5 on board, all working just fine. I use the third card for physics calculations. Of course you can put it in dedicated mode, but then of course you will only have SLI instead of through-way. So we're gonna stick with this selection. And finally I'm using a 1080p resolution in Windows. Obviously I do have a 4K monitor, as you can guys can see here. I can put it up to 4K, but in doing so, everything here, I mean the text, everything would be so tiny, you know, it would be difficult to read. And of course, yeah, you have makes text and other stuff larger or smaller. You can scale up the text if you do so, but Windows 7 never really been good at it. It's been a little bit clunky and stuff, so I'm gonna leave it like this. Then moving on to a little bit of benchmarking here. It's not going to be a real benchmark, obviously, because I am doing a recording, but you guys can see here from my previous attempts with different setups running at 3.5 gigahertz and so on. But you guys can get pretty much a general idea how this setup is performing, which is pretty impressive. I mean, it's always impressive to see 16 little boxes moving around solving this little puzzle. or pretty much rendering, but there you go. It should be slightly below the result that I have when I'm not recording. So, and then of course the GPU, however, is not going to be a super duper. As for now, it has been really high. It's been up to I've been reached up to almost 200 frames per second. But that's when I overclock the GPUs, and overclock even more so with the CPU. It's always comes down to whether you want to go to that super high overclock or whether you want to have a more stable and safe configuration. And I have chosen the latter, so it's not going to be that super duper result for the OpenGL. But nevertheless, it's not bad anyway. But you guys will be able to see anyway what I can achieve with this computer. Right now it's not been super, but I mean, when I'm not recording, I'm landing up here, and when I did my super duper setup for overclock, then I ended up here at 193.63. And then of course you guys can see the computer that I used before, which is the 2012 iMac i7 2600. Should be up here somewhere. There it is. It's number 12 position here. There's not been huge difference there for the OpenGL. However, when it comes to the CPU, you guys can see that it all the way down here on the 17th place compared to the this one. So it's a huge step. It's pretty much over the twice amount, or twice as fast, over twice as fast. And remember, they're both being i7, so none of them are being slow anyway. So that's the benchmark. It's not really a benchmark, but it gives you a general idea how this setup is performing. And then we can also take a look at my hard drive setups. As you guys can see, I'm running everything on SSDs. That included Windows, of course, and then everything else, such as games and softwares, you name it, Adobe, games, Steam games, everything else has been run on a second SSD, and on this third SSD I record my videos on this 1 terabyte SSD. And then I have two 6 terabytes mechanical drives for long-time storage, personal stuff, backups and stuff. And here I have such things such as downloads and stuff like that. And then I have my older 2.0 or USB 2.0 external drive. I have a second one that I haven't plugged in yet. And then I have a 64 gigabyte USB 3.0 stick plugged in pretty much all the time. So that's it about my hard drives. This one is running at 560 megabyte per second, and the rest are at 550. So there you go. So anyway, that's my computer specs and performance in general, so that you guys can see it firsthand. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and give it a like, as it would help a lot. And I'll be seeing you in the next one.